It's time to pump up the volume on the Marvel hype train. We've got some big news out of C2E2. What's up, everybody? I'm Stan, and welcome to Detail Comics, where we go over comics in detail. This is going to be a weekly one-shot where we're talking about the Marvel Next Big Things panel at C2E2 this year in 2019. So when we're talking about this is a place for them to showcase their newest lineups and their biggest events and what they're planning for the future of the publishing year. And since this is kind of like the kickoff event before summertime, it's where you're going to find the most information about a lot of stuff that Marvel's doing. The biggest thing that they want to focus on first is Marvel's War of the Realms, written by Jason Aaron, and it's been in kind of really development since his earliest parts of his run on the Mighty Thor, as well as Thor God of Thunder. So the real big thing about War of the Realms is that it is a natural progression, and it's really going to spin off into what his next project is going to be, and his next project is going to be co-written by Ewing, and that is Valkyrie. So they showed off a really cool logo, and it seems like he's going to be leaving the God of Thunder behind to take on the latest and greatest Asgardian hero inside the Marvel Universe. But that is just one of the things that we found out at C2E2. The real big thing, we actually got hints dropped inside the most recent comic books, and that is going to be Jonathan Hickman is back to writing Marvel Comics. So when they started off this panel, they were talking about generations of X-Men. So you've got the original team of Lee and Kirby that developed them, and then you've got different points in time that really redefined those characters, like Giant Size X-Men #1, which brought us Wolverine in the most recent series. We've got Claremont and Jim Lee, you've got Frank Quitely, and then you've got Grant Morrison. This whole redefinition of these characters has been very serious throughout the history of Marvel, and Jonathan Hickman is going to be writing 2 comic books. We've got the Powers of 10, or Powers of X, which is going to be Jonathan Hickman and R.B. Silva, and then we also have House of X, which is going to be Jonathan Hickman and Pepe Larraz. And this is really interesting because Hickman has said that he has been working on this for a year, and he's really proud of the work that he's been doing, though he has written some fantastic stuff in Fantastic Four, Avengers, New Avengers, and of course Secret Wars. This is the first time that he's really loved the source material beforehand. He grew up a DC guy, but when he read Marvel, he read X-Men, and this is one that he's putting his passion to, and the word is that he's been writing this for a year before really releasing this information at this point in time. So the redefinition of the X-Men and the development of that by Jonathan Hickman, who is widely regarded as one of the more sophisticated writers and written one of the best runs on Fantastic Four, it's going to be really interesting to see what he does with the X-Men. However, as much as I am a Jonathan Hickman fan, and as much as I love his run on Fantastic Four all the way through to Secret Wars, the big news that came out of C2E2 for me is Absolute Carnage. So the team of Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman are going to be tackling the character of Carnage, who has been a real mainstay inside the Marvel Universe since his introduction inside Amazing Spider-Man number 361. And that's really the first release of Carnage. Cletus Cassidy made his appearance just a little bit sooner than that. But the idea behind Absolute Carnage is that while we've seen the Carnage symbiote stripped away from Cletus Cassidy in a series that was done by Jerry Conway just a few years ago, we're going to see Cletus Cassidy regain the symbiote, as we saw some hints of inside the Venom issues that have most recently been published, and he is going to be hunting down anyone and everyone that has ever worn the symbiote, period, as well as the symbiotes themselves. As we saw inside the Venom run from Cates and Stegman, you actually can gain additional powers by combining symbiotes, and that's what Null, the god of symbiotes, was trying to do. However, with this one, it's either elimination or assimilation from Cletus Cassidy. The big thing is that they're going to be diving into the history of Carnage, and that includes things like Maximum Carnage, which is one of my personal favorites just because of the history behind it. I mean, I read that series so much that I wore out all the comic books and had to buy them again. And then you've got more recent tales like Venomized, which deals with everybody basically getting a symbiote, and as well as the Flash Thompson run as he went into Guardians of the Galaxy, and a number of members of the Guardians actually came to possess the symbiote themselves. I'm not sure if they're going to be doing alternate universe versions, but characters like Deadpool, Rocket Raccoon, Groot, Old Man Logan, and various other Wolverines, they all have opportunities to be hunted down by Cletus Cassidy's Carnage, and there's some other offshoots that might be targets as well, like the Silver Surfer. So Absolute Carnage is going to be taking off in August of 2019, and they released a slide with a question mark on it for December 2019 that's going to supposedly bring all of these 3 tentpole events together and serve as kind of a culmination before they take off onto next year's next big thing. But I'm really excited about Absolute Carnage. I'm really intrigued to see what Jonathan Hickman does with the X-Men, and War of the Realms is something that I would like to see a good conclusion, but I'm curious as to what the content inside Valkyrie is going to be. But I want to know what you guys are excited about for Marvel in 2019. Hit me up in the comments down below and we can start that conversation. As always, if you like what you see, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to get more news, reviews, and commentary on comic books and more.